Hey Sarah, you like sailing?
Not really.
Good, then Sperry is for you. Sperry is seafaring clothing, accessories, and shoes that are essential accompaniments for your adventurous lifestyle. Please visit Sperry.com to get some sailing-related stuff, cuz.
I'll definitely do that. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and today I'm the podcast captain and the Prime Minister of Pain, whatever that means. Welcome to Splain Yourself.
And I'm Michael, and like Loverboy, I'm working for the weekend.
That's a great reference.
Thanks. Very timely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's working.
That song is classic. Our theme today, you guys, is addiction and Disney, which is admittedly pretty specific, but that's because we tailored the theme around our guest, who we are thrilled to have. He is the MVP of the staff at our school. Nothing would run around here if he weren't here. Mr. Ethan Perkins. Woo! Welcome, Ethan.
Yeah, good to be here. Excited.
All right. So let me jump in with this first question because I've been interested in the answer to this all week. Among adults, there are two kinds of people. There are a smaller group who is obsessed with Disney, and then most of us who are indifferent to Disney. Sarah and I fall in a different camp, but you really love Disney. How did you get to this point, to be a person of the Disney?
Well, that's a great question. It's kind of like saying there's two groups. There's those that are right and those that are wrong. Or no, even better. There's those that are happy and those that are indifferent.
Miserable.
That's kind of how I would lay it out. No,
wow.
I grew up on Disney, quite literally. Disney was always around. We couldn't watch certain things. I grew up kind of conservative. My dad is a Southern Baptist pastor. He's going on. Mm-hmm. It might be this year for his 40th year of being a Southern Baptist pastor. He's grown a lot, and in his super conservative ways, he's come out of that shell. But yeah, we grew up. There were certain things we could watch, and Disney typically was okay. There wasn't a whole lot. And I was born in '83, but I'm definitely more of a '90s Disney child. I have a brother who's 5.5 years older than me, and he taught me the ways of Transformers and G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. So I played 80s, but I watched 90s Disney. So it's kind of a weird mix. And actually, growing up, my sister was the fanatic. Mm-hmm. Really? She was the crazy one. Her room was scary. Like hundreds of dolls and pictures and toys and just kind of creepy. And I want to say that was till she was like 18.
Really?
So she was a sad person. No, I'm just kidding. No, she just always had Disney. Always had the clamshell cases of Aladdin and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so growing up like that, where it was a constant accessibility to Disney stuff, and really the other side of it was twofold. I had grandparents that lived in Lady Lake, Florida, which is where all old people live. Okay. And so it was like a retirement village. There was a golf course in their backyard. There was a pool that we never got to go in because we were children.
Why?
Because the old people got the pool and the children watched and cried.
So sad.
But the payoff kind of was you go see grandmother, grandpa, and you got to go to Disney. They always had Disney tickets. This is back in the, late 80s, early 90s, where tickets to Disney were like $30, $40 for a Florida resident. So we always got tickets. We would always go 2-3 days, hang out with them, and then eventually go to Disney. And deeper into my obsession is where my real obsession for Epcot came out of that, because Grandma always was like, if you're going to Disney, you got to go to the educational one.
Right.
And so that was the thing. It was an Epcot ticket. Later found out you could use the ticket kind of anywhere. I was duped into my love for Epcot, so that was an okay dupe.
Right.
But yeah, so growing up, it was that, and the other side of it, the grandparents being one. I've learned this is kind of a funny thing, like being a pastor, people often will try and get out of hell by giving the pastor something. So we had several occasions where we would go to Disney on somebody else's dime.
That's great. I remember that passage in the Bible.
Yeah.
Thou shalt bribe your pastor.
Yeah, that was the bribe.
It's always like the wink and bribe, too. Like, do you want to... I know I did that. Do you want to go to Disney? I'll take your whole family. I had one trip where we went with my best friend at the time, and that was a blast.
Yeah.
I paid for all of it. And we grew up lower class. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had connections. So We had ways to get to Disney that most people just didn't because grandparents lived right next to it. Friends would do that. My dad they still live in Augusta, Georgia, and to this day he goes to the Masters quite a bit on that free pastor ticket. Kind of, awesome. Pastor, do you want a ticket to the golf thing? And my dad's like, no, I've been. It's pretty and there's golfers.
Right.
Like, that's about it. Right. So I guess that answers like it was always there and always accessible, whether it was the movies or the games or toys or the parks.
Then take us through. At some point, you go from Lil Ethan to Adult Ethan.
That's still my rapper name. Is Lil Ethan.
Lil Ethan.
Yeah. It was Lil Lee.
Then you matured. You became Lil Ethan. I enjoy your work on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
His big song is "Move Them Cones." You ever heard that one?
That is the one I get a lot of feedback on. A lot of yelling and pointing. Move.
But this has, so clearly Disney is mainly aimed at children and early teens, and then when you get to be an adult, you're still really into Disney.
Yeah, so I took a side exit for obsession, kind of addiction thing for Disney for a while, and was focused on bands and concerts, and just really enjoyed that. I lived in a town that was smaller to medium sized, Augusta, Georgia, and they just didn't bring any music in I liked. And so I took on the kind of, well, if I want to hear these bands, I'll bring them in, which was a great thing to learn how to do. My kind of, maybe it was dumb, maybe it was smart, my way I'd get bands in is I wouldn't take any money. I'd say you get 100% of the door, whatever we get. As long as we cover our cost, you get whatever's left over, and bands typically liked that and would come. And
so you were acting as a concert promoter, essentially.
Yeah. And that was for a love of concerts and a love of bands. I had two kind of specific obsessions that kind of both came out of it. Both kind of Christian bands. One was Caedmon's Call, and they were kind of a folk band.
I've heard of them.
And man, something about their music was good, and particularly one of the singers. They were really unique. They had a lead singer, they had a female lead singer, and another lead singer. And so you could get an album with like 3 different bands. Like it kind of had that feel. Cool. So it was really nice. But one was a guy named Derek Webb, who kind of spoke into my teen angst as well, and really shaped to this day, a lot of the way I believe and the way I process things in my faith. Understanding theology, and kind of was the first, he's a little bit of that Bob Dylan, just kind of picking on the system, but still for it kind of thing. And I can't think of the word, not angsty, but just agitator. He was an agitator, so he would come in and be like, "That's wrong," and people get mad because it bothered the system. And then, I'd look in the Bible and go, "He's right," and that would make me happy. And his music was good, and it evolved from folk to kind of rock to almost like a weird album about robots. Like he's done kind of all this stuff. But yeah, so went from music into then getting married. I saw that I still had a lot of childlike things in my life that I like to do. I was a youth director for a little while, so I spent a lot of time with kids. Video games kind of weren't my thing. I still play video games with these kids 18 hours a day. I kind of got it, but I was like, man, that's a lot. But it was this pullback and this kind of remembrance of this thing I used to really like as a kid when my wife got pregnant. That Disney was kind of always still there in the back of my mind. And then it became this thing of, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to take my kids here.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to do this all over again. Careful, because this is the secret I won't get out at next, is that I'm an emotional guy. And like big softy, and so like I'll break down if I'm not careful talking about my kids. But like the idea of taking my children, and like people are like, wait till they're like 4 or 5. My oldest was 2.5.
Right,
and I was like, done. I'm done waiting. Now is the time.
Sure.
Didn't have money to go to Disney, but found a way to scrounge up money, sold things, and found a way. And it was that like spark of taking my kid. Still have this video, watch it all the time, of showing her the castle for the first time, her jaw on the floor, and feeling that magic and going, oh my gosh, this place has something. They know what they're doing. And like as silly as this is, dancing down Main Street, USA, and totally going, I am a 26, 27-year-old adult male. I'm here with my daughter, and I don't care. I'm so happy.
Right.
This is, and so that was like the big Kickstarter back into my addiction. It was about 8 years ago when we realized we were gonna have a baby, and then finally culminating and going, that really started firing these things in my head and my heart, and I got to get back here. And then it became, how much can I absorb? And then when you kind of step into that world of Disney, both the name of the person and the corporation and the parks, you're like, oh, this is just a fire hydrant, like, of knowledge and information, and there's 1,000,001 secrets that they have at the parks and things to learn. And it just kind of is that never-ending, like, you can go and go and go, and then go, I never knew this existed. Who knew this was this big thing here? And you just find out. So,
You describe this as an obsession/addiction. Can you talk more about that specifically? What does this feel like to you, and why was it? What makes it an addiction or an obsession rather than a hobby? Say.
So, like a hobby, I think people can come and go as they please. Like, oh, I like this thing, but I'll take a break for a month. I build models. I'll take a time off.
Right.
Like, for me, I can't take a break from it. I can't stop. Part of that is now having 4 children whose ages are 7, 5, 4, and 2 in about 2 weeks. So having those 4 children that are getting the Disney, and I'm feeding them, like I'm throwing the Disney at them, and even like yesterday, my daughter's like, we're ready to go back to Disney, and they've been 4 times, and she's 5. Like, you've been a lot. Kids go once, and that's a thing, and like. So there's just like a never-ending. I've said it before. I think about maybe 3 things every day. Well, let's say 4 things every day. One is part of it.
Sure, it's just 4.
So I think about God every day. I think about my family every day. And I think about Disney every day.
Yeah.
And I think about Star Wars every day. But they're one and the same.
They're close,
so,
yeah.
Like, I can tie those in. But those things, I can't get away from any of those 3 things. Like, if I go to Alaska and get in an igloo, somehow I'll be like, this reminds me of Hoth.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when Chewbacca was like trying to shoot some things on Hoth, and I'm thinking about Disney, and I'm down in my rabbit hole again. Disney thoughts. So for me, that is what kind of breaks it's a hobby to learn about this, and into full on, like, I can't stop learning about it. I can't read enough books about it, and I can't go to the parks enough. And that one joy about the parks is I don't live in Florida, which helps me not go every day. And 2, like, making it a big deal to go, it takes about a year and a half, 2 years, depending. So when I go back, they've done 10 things.
Right.
They've added, like I went last April, and now I'm feeling that itch. I need to go back. I have to go back. I can't afford to go back this spring break, but I feel like I'll find a way.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sell my dog or something, whatever
Really?
gets me there.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, I do too, because I really love my dog. I'm not happy
addiction,
about
right?
this thing.
That's addiction.
I don't
That's
want to
what
do
we
this,
do.
but this is what's happening.
I might be in the market for a dog. We talk.
She's
You
10
really
years
want a dog?
old, so I don't know, like, she's got a hip thing.
Michael, you should have a dog.
Everyone
old is
should have
she?
a dog. She's 10.
10?
She's beautiful. She's our first kid. She's a sweetheart. She's having hip issues, so there's a lot of
My asking price is going down.
Yeah.
Hip issues.
$7, I guess. I'll do. But
So to dig into that idea a little more of addiction, because I know that, like, I have, I guess some people call this an addictive personality, where you're very prone to go overboard with the things that you like. And for me, that could be food, it could be drink, it could be, I don't know, Netflix, So do you feel like the addiction to Disney is 100% healthy? And sub-question, do you feel like it's keeping you from other harmful addictions?
I'd say it's not always healthy.
Yeah.
It's not always good to like, there's several ways I could do more for my family. I could do more for my job.
Yeah.
And not that I just look at Disney stuff all day. I mean, I do get to teach a breakout on Disney, so then I can excuse that I'm doing research.
When we're calling for Ethan on the radio and he's not responding, he's just in a Disney hood.
I'm in a
He's just
Disney coma.
Yeah.
They just announced this thing, special trash cans in Star Wars Land 2018. No, I do think there's an unhealthy balance. One is this. Since having kids, I've gone 4 times with my kids. That's probably $12,000
$12,000.
that I've used on Disney.
So when the prices were $30, $40 when you were a kid, like
Yeah.
this is not inflation increases in
No,
prices.
no.
What is going on?
They're so good that it's kind of like, I'm not going to pay $1,000
But
for
you
the
are.
iPhone
Yeah.
X.
But you do.
And they're like,
Yeah.
okay, here it is. Stupid.
It costs $1,000.
And then they're like, here's
Yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah, I know.
And you can't, people are obsessed with Apple, and that way
Right.
you're just like, money is a fleeting thing, it makes no difference, it's just paper, who cares?
Right. We're gonna spend it on something.
And so I'm like, okay, this is where I excuse it out though, like, what else am I gonna spend my money on?
Yeah.
You know, I've got a house, we have cars that currently work, we're not in debt.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, all of this is like
Yeah.
until tomorrow, but like we have kind of, we're taken care of, we're good, we're not, struggling. Probably should think about investing for retirement.
Right.
Old Ethan will worry about that, not present Ethan.
Sure.
Future Ethan can worry about those things.
Sure.
But this is my big spiel about it. Like, that money will come and go.
Sure.
Those finances will come and go, but I'll never forget these things with my kids.
Memories.
I'll never forget them.
Yeah.
I'll never, like this last time that I went, I feel like I know all that's going to happen. It's not going to surprise me. And now that Disney has bought Star Wars and they're really putting those
Yeah.
into the parks, they had this little like parade, and it wasn't even a thing. Like, it was mostly characters coming up on stage with the music and kind of Darth Vader showing his lightsaber, standing there waiting for you to take pictures. And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah. And I thought, cool, whatever. And then they end it with all these characters coming back up. I just got chills. No lie. I just got chills.
Woo! Just now.
All these characters coming back up, and I'm holding my at that time 3-year-old son, and he's like, yeah, like fist in the air, just excited, and I lost it,
Oh.
just bubbling, could not, like, ugh, and he's like, daddy, and I'm like, but it was this flood of emotion of
Yeah.
like, I remember being a kid and wanting to be Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And seeing that and knowing that was a good thing to want to be Luke.
Sure.
It was a good thing to fight the dark side and to be the hero. And that was as a kid, if you could be anybody, it was Luke. Like,
Right.
he was the one that, now he's a grumpy old man, but like, that's okay. We get there. But like, and now my kid, I looked at it last night as I put my 2 sons to bed. Their whole room is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like every toy, every once in a while something will sneak in. I'm like, get that out of here.
Yeah.
We don't want that. Star Wars. And knowing that's the, this is cheesy, but the circle of life.
Yeah.
Lion King
Oh
is
my
correct.
gosh. The Disney references, yeah.
It comes back. Like
Yeah.
my mom and dad took my kids, and especially at that trip, my parents were with us too.
Yeah.
And so they've got this full feeling, and we've all got this feeling. And that's the Disney magic that makes you forget finances and money and being responsible. To
Right.
go, I could put 12 grand over the last 4 years into retirement, and that would be great. But in my heart, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'll eat beans and ramen when
Yeah.
I'm 70. I probably
Right.
won't even be able to eat that. So who cares? Like,
There you go.
And this overall feeling of just no guilt
Yeah.
in spending that money. No
Yeah.
guilt at all. No, man, we should have. A few months or a few weeks ago, our HVAC system just was
Yeah.
out. We had no heat. We spent a good amount of money on that, and like, I could have had that saved and just paid in cash and felt great about it, but I didn't. So now it's going to take a little while to pay all that off. But I'm like, I don't regret Disney.
No regrets.
That's my kind of that's my quote. It's been my quote for a while. I never regret $1 I spend at Disney.
That's
I've
good.
never regretted anything, even the $20 popcorns. Just do it.
You describe this as addiction. The best scientific research I've ever seen is most people who are addicts come from a family of addicts, and you are given a genetic predisposition. Do you carry this with you?
Yeah. The grandfather that we would go see that would take us to Disney, he was an alcoholic, and like the TV alcoholic, like Lifetime movie, like
Oh, wow.
Drinks for Jane, whatever it is, like he would be that dad. Like he would show up to my mom's prom and interrupt it because he was drunk. He wouldn't be like just not a dad that was present for a lot of the time. I remember when we would go see them in Florida, he always had a cigarette and a scotch in hand. Like that was kind of his thing. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Like not mean, not abusive. I've not known that was a thing from my mother. Never heard that, but just drinking and going to drinks for healing and self-medication, and being a full-on addict. And he died pretty young. I think he was in his late 60s, early 70s. And so he, like, that doesn't sound super young, but it also doesn't, it's not, he didn't live a full life. His wife lived until she was in her mid to late 80s. So, that's 15, 20 years without your husband. And it was because of drinking that led him that. And so growing up with that, and the super conservative dad, I just never had a feeling of drinking or drugs. It will shock some people, but I've never done drugs in my life. It just never was an interesting to me. I was telling my niece, Rivers, just the other day about drinking, warning the child not to get into that. I was always scared I was going to throw up. Like, and I hate throwing up.
Is the worst.
That I was like,
it's the worst.
If I have a beer, I might throw up. And
I don't think it's so bad.
To this day, like, I remember I went to a Super Bowl party when I was like 14. I ate 3 hot dogs and probably like a ton of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I threw up.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm like, if you eat 3 hot dogs, you will throw up. It's guaranteed. So,
Wow, that's
drinking
strong.
was never like a challenge to me.
Yeah.
It was never a thing that I thought I would run to. But because of an addictive personality that I know that I carry, I've always steered clear of that.
Yeah.
And just filtered it into different things. So music being one, kind of my family being another, but also Disney being a huge part of that. So never really have a desire to go out and drink and take the edge off kind of thing, because I'm scared where that could lead. I'm scared where I could end up. And so Disney's a great, wholesome alternative to that for me. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, and I didn't get my family history from my parents before I became of legal age, and that would have been nice, because they could have been like, oh, by the way, you may have struggles with this particular thing. So tell me the difference between like going to Disney as a kid and then going as obviously there are the obvious differences, like, well, I have to manage these small people that but like the more the feeling that you have, because it seems like you've still got the same joy, but it's different.
yeah, if you see me around next, I don't have that joy. I'm kind of grumpy.
Oh my!
Grumpy old man Ethan. Yeah.
It's just busyness.
Yeah.
And on the way up to do this podcast, I got stopped by 4 kids. Hey, could you?
Sure.
And it's just that kind of constant, like, okay.
I'm telling you, MVP. That's why you're the MVP.
That's true. You are the MVP.
Yeah.
So
You don't get paid like you're the MVP, but you're the MVP.
What was that, Sarah? I didn't
We're
hear that.
publishing this. We're going to make sure
I need
that
to go to Disney a few more times. So. That's the other thing. I get more money. I'm just like, great,
Right.
more trips.
Right,
Disney.
right.
But no, that's a great question, because there is a difference. I say the worst time to take somebody the first time to Disney is between the age of 12 and 18.
Really?
Because you're just teen
You don't
angst
care
out the
anymore.
max. You're not young enough to be young, and you're not old enough to go back to being young.
Right.
So take your kids before they turn 12. Unless you've grown up on Disney.
Yeah.
My nieces would be great examples. They're 16, 14, and 12.
Yeah.
They go to Disney right now, they flip out.
Yeah.
But going to Disney, I say this, you have to embrace what it is.
Yeah.
If you go going, I am a 34-year-old man, you need to reach me on my level of education
Right.
and interest. If you go in like that and Peter Pan comes by, you'll be like, Peter Pan.
Right. Get out of my face. Yeah.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Peter. Get a job and grow up. Leave your shadow behind. And,
Right.
But
Right.
if you go in and you're like, Peter Pan, Captain Hook, I see the alligator. Ah! If you
Right.
go in and just be that kid, that's when it's the best. If you buy in, if you go in with any kind of shield up of, I am an adult, and you
Right.
get treated as an adult, you will be the worst kind of Disney attender. The angry parents that are scared to death about the trip. Jim Gaffigan has a great line about Disney is,
Oh, please
every
tell it.
time you go, you see the parents that they're like, this costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if you think about one dime when you're at Disney,
Right. You
you're in
can't
trouble.
think about it.
You'll
Yeah.
be like, this day, this 30 minutes that we waited in line cost us
Right.
$400.
Yeah.
What? And
Yeah.
you will start to freak out. So if you go, one thing I love about Disney is they have these packages that's like hotel, food, tickets.
Right.
Boom, done.
All inclusive.
Transportation taken care of.
Yeah.
I love that I go and I don't have to worry about a car seat for a week. So I drop my money, boom. The first time I went with kids, I brought $500 cash with me. I went home with $480. And I was like,
Wow.
That's pretty
I
good.
didn't, because I had already
Really
paid for everything.
all-inclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't buy souvenirs because we
Yeah.
go a lot. We know that like the one souvenir here is 60% less at Walmart.
Right.
It just doesn't say Disney Parks on the tag.
Right.
Like that's the only difference. So
Sure.
my kids have now started where they save their money to buy souvenirs, which is
Aw.
really cute.
Yeah,
and
that
cool.
is cool.
Since my daughter was 2, that's every time she gets money, she never spends it. It's for Disney, so she's ingrained. But no, I'd say there is some difference. My sister worked at Disney with a thing called the college program.
Oh, my roommate in college did that. Yeah.
It's a great way. You get a college credit for it. You do flip burgers or pick up trash.
Sure.
She was super talented, so she was actually like game show host
Ooh,
at Epcot,
fancy.
which was really cool.
I think my roommate was like a server or a hostess at a restaurant. Or
And they're not.
Yeah.
They don't trick you. They
Yeah,
tell you it's
no.
not a good job
Right.
and you're going to be doing this. But it's a great opportunity. And so during that time, I was in high school when she was there.
Yeah.
And I probably went to Disney 14 times in a year.
Did you get some perks because she was there?
Not
no?
anymore.
Oh,
no.
okay.
She has some friends that have some connections, but she's got a family of her own. She loves Disney.
Right.
And even there, she's like, I don't.
Yeah.
They don't got tickets. So.
No
but,
love.
But that time when I should have kind of hated Disney.
Yeah.
I didn't really hate it. It was
Right.
fun. It wasn't the same as a kid, but and it definitely wasn't the same having kids. But even that time, I still enjoyed it.
Awesome.
So, okay. A lot of this seems to be based on you having kids.
Yeah.
There are people who go and don't have kids but are adults.
Yeah, weirdos, right?
Yeah, give us a pitch because this
Yes.
is Michael and I. We're married, not to each other.
I'm a grown man, dog.
That's
Okay,
right.
yeah,
We
yeah,
have
yeah.
no kids, and I have no desire to go to Disney as of this moment right now. Although I'm hearing you, and it sounds cool.
Yeah,
and
it's starting to get you.
Well,
Just
what
a
you said
little.
about the attitude, because before talking to you, I would have shown up at Disney going, this better impress me, not necessarily as a 38-year-old, but I would have been thinking, yeah, what is here for me? And I probably would have been asking, where's the bar? So you have to tell me, without drinking at Disney, why should I go?
That one.
Is you can drink at
Epcot
Disney.
has a great thing that's kind of the insiders know. Epcot has a place called the World Showcase, and it's
Yeah.
just all these countries represented. And if you go at like the Food and Wine Festival, it's like quadruple the number
That sounds
of
amazing.
places.
Yeah.
My brother, sister, and me, and my wife went on possibly the greatest trip. One day at Epcot, it was during the Food and Wine Festival.
Yes.
And every nation we hit, it was the other person's turn to pay. And I think I dropped $200, which means they all dropped $200.
Right.
And it was like, we made the mistake of starting in the UK and ending in Mexico.
No, do it the
So
other way
when you're
around.
done and you're trying
Yeah.
to get nachos,
Yeah,
like,
no.
it was just awful.
There's
But
room for nachos in there, I
There's a
promise.
thing called Drinking Around the World. That
Yeah,
they
I've heard
do.
of that.
The beer there is imported. And it's not fake. It's not, it's been sitting in the cellar.
Right.
It's very fresh and has a very unique taste and a very oh, wow, they took their time.
Yeah.
There's a bar in the UK called the Rose and Crown. They named it that because they looked up the 2 most common bars
Right.
names. One was Rose and something, and the second was Crown and something. And so
Oh.
they just Rose and Crown, that's a bar. And it
Okay.
sounds like a great UK bar.
It does.
The people that work there are from the UK, so they got the accent. You feel like you're really there.
Oh, nice.
I walked in there once. It was not busy. There's a bartender, and he goes, "You look like you could use a Guinness." And I was like,
Yeah.
So, but there are tons to do at Disney for
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah.
I do kind of get the, what a weirdo, you're just here as an adult.
But this is a lot of people.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
a whole tribe. But at the same time, there is enough to do
Yeah.
that I go, some of the rides are fun and exciting and like
They have,
big
like,
rides.
full-on roller coasters.
Yeah, full big roller coasters
Cool.
that are really good and really fun. And then there's the food there is one thing that I can't get over. First of all, you walk like 12 miles a day.
Sure.
Right.
So you
You
are
gotta
hungry.
eat, yeah.
So that might play into why it's so good.
Yeah.
A lot of the vegetables are grown at Disney.
Oh,
that's
a
interesting.
lot of the meat is from the area, so they're
Okay.
using local
Sustainable,
stuff.
yeah.
And there's something about there's three versions of the way you can eat: the quick service, which is what I always do because it's the cheapest, and then there's all the way up to like the deluxe dining.
So,
like
like quick-
every time you eat, it's a fancy restaurant.
Quick service is like chicken fingers and this kind
It
of
can
stuff.
be. I had I went this last time and I had a half rack of ribs, French fries, coleslaw,
Okay.
a large drink, and a dessert.
Sounds so
Yeah.
good.
And it was really good. It wasn't like Memphis ribs, but it was
Right.
like this would be a popular place in Greenville.
Sure.
People would go here
Yeah.
to eat
Okay.
these ribs.
Interesting.
That makes
So
sense.
all of everything they do is kind of top notch. Like you're not going to get like a lower level anything.
Right.
Food is one of them. Like the food is just good. There's snacks and desserts that people go to Disney just for. One called the Dole Whip.
Dole
which
Whip.
is a
I like
made
where
by
this is
Dole.
going.
It's a pineapple
Ooh.
juice with pineapple soft serve. I always get vanilla soft serve,
Oh.
but you mix those things together, you're
Yeah.
like, this is incredible. So the hotels also are another thing. There's low-level the value hotels, which
Yeah.
are still super clean, super nice,
Right.
super well kept
Sure.
up. That's where we stay. We stay at the All-Star Resort. It's kind of pushed into the back.
Right.
It's where the lower to middle class people go. I'm
That
fine
would
with
be
it.
me.
I
Yeah,
don't care.
I'd be there.
And then there's all the way up to really high, nice quality resorts like the Polynesian Resort, which my dream is to stay at the Polynesian. Sometimes it's like $800 a
One
night.
day. Oh, man.
800
Wow.
But like it's themed to like Hawaiian themes. It's got three of the best restaurants in the parks
Yeah.
or in the resort areas there. And it's super relaxing and nice, and everything's high quality and
Yeah.
like the rich go there and that's
Sure.
where they go, or the parents are like, we're going to Disney once, we're spending 10,000, let's
Right.
do it.
Yeah.
But hotels have all sorts of stuff. There's golf, there's
Pools.
boating, there's pools, there's bars. There's a great bar at the Polynesian called the Trader Sam's,
Yeah.
which is a comment on a ride. One of the rides, the Jungle Cruise, Trader Sam's is a shrunken head salesman.
Nice.
So Trader Sam has a bar,
Nice.
and they've got all sorts of little mugs that you can collect.
Yeah.
And that's the rabbit hole with Disney. Like your wallet just comes out all
Yeah.
the time because it's like I got into those mugs for a little bit. And it's
Yeah.
like $25 a mug. And I'm like, this is
But I
a lot.
must have
Yeah,
them.
and you can't.
Yeah.
You're like, they just put out a new one, and I'm not there. I got to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
The great news about those is the mugs when you buy them are now like if I sold them on eBay, I could get like $60 for it.
See, there you go. That's an
But I
investment.
won't sell it.
No, of course not. Of
But
course
I
not.
would say my estimation with Disney is it's 60-40.
Okay.
60% for kids and 40% for adults.
Okay.
And that is because they clearly know if you're an adult and you only do like there's Disney Junior Live, which is
Yeah.
awesome. My kids love it. It's a lot of the Disney Junior characters on stage
Right.
as puppets.
Yeah.
If you did that for 12 hours, you would be like, never
Disney's
again.
the worst. Yeah.
But they do that, and then right next door, there's a thing called the Tower of Terror, which is like an elevator that takes you up and drops you like 200 feet, and it is a blast. It's the
That
worst
sounds
and
fun.
best ride. Like
Yeah.
every time, I'm like, why am I getting?
Why did I do
hate
this? Yeah.
So there is. And even their shows, they do Beauty and the Beast. They're like condensed version of this, like 25-minute. It's
Oh,
like
that sounds
full
cool.
on Broadway
Yeah.
production, really good singing, and then the nighttime fireworks are unbelievable.
Oh, I forgot about the
They go
fireworks.
Overboard. I think the cost for Epcot's nighttime fireworks is around $40,000 a night.
Jeez.
If
Seriously.
you take into account how much they're getting, though, it's
I was going to
nothing
say, that's
but
chump change to them,
yeah,
but
like
That's a lot
they- so you're not going to go there and be like, the fireworks were like nothing.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah. No,
that was
no.
like the best fireworks show ever because
Right.
they sync it to music, and now they're using projection mappings so they can make the castle, Cinderella Castle at Magic Kingdom, they can make it look like anything.
Ah,
Have
that's awesome.
all
Interesting.
sorts of things dancing on it. So there's enough. What I always feel like at the end of the day, if you stop and you're in your hotel and you are dead tired and you think about that day, you're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Everything. And
Worth it.
even if the kids are crying and screaming in moments, it doesn't take long. I always say if you take your kid to Disney, you have to say yes to everything.
yeah.
If they go, we want to do this. Yep.
Yeah. Do
we
it.
want this. cool.
It's not worthy.
I've taught my kids, well, don't buy the toys.
Right.
We'll buy them elsewhere.
Right.
And we might like get a $2 or $3 thing here and there, but like don't buy the toys.
Right.
But like as far as little snacks, because the meal plan
Yeah.
comes with snacks.
Sure.
So getting them the Mickey ice cream bar.
Yeah.
The Dolly, or I can't remember what it's called, but getting them the ice
Yeah.
cream bar, it's huge, bigger than their face.
Right.
And when I go, yeah, you can have that.
They're
it's
just like, huh?
what? We can
Yeah.
have anything. And so it's just that place where, yes, you can do that.
Right.
Yes, we can go that way.
Right.
Yes, we'll go to that show. It's never, no, we have to make good time.
Right.
Like, I've done enough Disney that I don't miss if I miss 10 of the roller coasters.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
Done it before. But saying yes and being open and being a kid, just
Yeah.
embracing it as a kid. And man, now I really want to go.
So this
You guys
is
messed me up.
Sorry, Ethan.
so this is essentially a Disney themed all inclusive resort for adults, basically.
Yeah, and like if that's your thing, or even this, I think most adults I've known that have gone without kids have gone and gone, I didn't know it was going to be my thing, but it's my thing.
It's my
now.
thing.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
can't, I have to go back and I love it.
Well, I'm sold. Are you sold?
Oh,
I am a Disney travel agent, so if you're really sold, I can get you there and it doesn't cost you anything.
Really?
Disney pays me. This is a really cool thing they do.
I didn't know
I'm
this
pitching
about you.
myself,
You're
but
making money from Disney.
it's not a lot, but it's here and there. and
Sure.
I love talking about Disney enough that I'll do it anyway. But like,
It's awesome.
the cool thing is it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
Disney pays me directly, so I can get you better deals than you probably could get on your own.
Dude,
Yeah,
if we decide to go, you're the first person I'm coming to. That's
I
awesome.
have to go with you. That's the.
Oh, okay. No problem. No problem. We can make that
I
happen.
wish that'd be awesome.
You can just watch me and Jerry drinking.
That's fine. I'll be the designated driver.
There you go.
Or actually, I wouldn't have to be because they have buses that'll take you wherever you want to go. So you don't even need a designated
you
driver.
can just be the drunken David
This actually
Sherpa.
does sound
Yeah.
pretty great. Well, we are running out of time. One of us at least is going to have to go teach in a minute.
I'll just stay in here and talk about Disney.
You just talked to no one about
Yeah,
Disney.
Just keep talking.
But Ethan, this was great. We really appreciate you enlightening us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And that's it for today, and also for season 1 of Explain Yourself. We'll be back before you know with a whole bunch of new episodes and a batch of awesomeness. Until that point, please check out our Twitter at Splain_yourself for updates and other content. And with that, that's a wrap.
Woo! Yeah.